is, of course, you all know on our special broadcast Tuesdays, we do the widower's voice because we want to make sure that everybody along this grief journey has somebody to talk to. So we're talking about strategies, we're talking about tools, and the key about Better Days is we have an awesome guest tonight. And y'all know I'm a little prejudiced. We usually have women on the show. I'm not really prejudiced. It's just that happen women want to talk more. We always want to talk about our feelings. We always want to share what we went through. But I have a brave man tonight who has joined me, who is going to empower the men. Well, I always have my brave husband who come here with me, who always wants to help you all through that journey. But I found a man who was actually brave enough to show up here on the show for me to ask questions because they have a wonderful organization that we're going to talk about. And that is really about on this road to freeing ourselves on this grief journey. What we're talking about getting to the place that we can find better days along this grief journey. Because sometimes it's hard for us to get through that pain and find those better days, what that really means. Mm-hmm. And so tonight we're talking about how to be better and not be bitter. So we have Mr. John Polo who is going to be speaking to us. And tonight I am going to take us to Ephesians. Oops, I didn't put the little thing down there, so I got a little journey click through the book to get there. So we're gonna get, normally I put my tab there so we can find it really quickly. So y'all bear with me 1 second. 1297. Oh, I did have it back there. No, I didn't. All right, we're going to Ephesians 4:31. And I actually found two scriptures that kind of give me what I wanted tonight, 4:31 and 4:26. So we're going to start off with 26, and it says, "Be ye angry and sin not let the sun go down upon your wrath." And what it's talking about is that bitterness, that anger with God. Sometimes, because the thing is, if you go to bed, you go to sleep, that's a seed that you plant deep in your heart, and that bitterness started to grow. So don't allow that anger to grow and be planted, whether it's God or with somebody else. Yes. This journey is going to have a lot of times that are disappointing, a lot of things that are heart-wrenching, and a loss of your spouse is probably one of those things. And I'm not going to say it's the worst thing because, of course, other people have lost other people, but it's the worst when you're in that situation. Yes. Mm-hmm. So, and the thing is, a lot of times we like to do a lot of comparisons, and that's where we need to stay away from because we don't need to compare one's spouse to one's child, to one's parents. Everything is different. Every relationship is different. So on the Widower's Voice, we're talking specifically about losing your spouse, not about losing any other type of relatives, because that grief is different, how you experience it. So, and then Ephesians 4:31, I want to go there. And it talks about, "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you." Because the thing is, a lot of times we collect those things. We like to collect. We like to collect things that sometimes takes us to the negative place in our lives. And the thing is, we have to be able to put it in a compartment where it doesn't take us to a place of bitter. So tonight, we're going to find out how Mr. John Polo is setting up in his mind for better, and how I want to tell y'all, your ladder will be greater, but you have to do something now to get to that place of greatness, because if you're only planting a seed of bitterness, that's what you're going to reap, and that's what you're going to sow. So I'm looking forward tonight to talk about how he got to that place, because there are a lot of men who are on the journey who have not been able to put away those different emotions and compartmentalize and move forward in a healthy way. So John, as soon as we hear this song, and that's our highlighted artist this month, Mr. Tyshawn Knight, and it is Ride On, and that is very important in a grief situation, that we have to know that we have to ride on. A lot of times we want to sit and park and we don't want to move any further ourselves. That is something that we have to make sure that we are aware that is a hindrance to us, a hindrance to others, because that's like being on the highway of life. You just stop. Yep. You don't move, and now that's a roadblock for everybody else. Y'all know y'all been on the highway, and people just start to stop on the highway. That's not the place where you stop on the highway of life. So whether you have a blowout, whether something tragic happens, we have to learn how to ride on. So I think this song actually is going to put us in a good place to get to John, and y'all better stay, because I know this tonight we gonna hear something. Men, if you know a man that has experienced the loss tonight, you need to tell him to call in at 770-415-2149. You need to share whatever social media you on and explain that tonight there is a brave man who decided to come sit on the air with me, because that takes a brave man to come sit on the air with me. It took a brave man to come sit on the air with me tonight to actually let out his feelings and talk about some of the things that he went through on the grief journey. He's going to share a little bit of his story so that he can help somebody else. And that's the thing. We never go through anything just for ourselves.
Right.
It is always to help somebody else. So let us hear Tasha and Knight, and let's talk about riding on. All right, we are at you all's most favorite part of the show where you actually get to hear from the guest. And I told you all were going to enjoy tonight. We have Mr. John Polo, and he is going to be here tonight to tell us about that journey from getting from bitter to better, because we want everybody, not just men, but we want women, when they've lost a spouse, to understand that there is a period of bitterness, but we want you to reach a place of better. And there is not, I didn't just, shake up a hat and find this wonderful gentleman. He actually runs a wonderful organization behind this. He has some great things coming out, and he is expressing his emotions through words as an awesome blogger. So, sometimes when they say you don't know what to say, write it. So I'm a big person, if you can't speak it, write it. That's why I got a ton of notebooks. I journal like 100 million times. I wake up in the middle of the night on sticky sheets of paper and have them all over the place. But tonight, Mr. John Polo, one of the things I want you to do is kind of give us a little background. So, because people say, well, why do you have these people on your show, on The Widow's Voice? Because they've actually experienced a loss themselves. And I know the loss is different from us. Some of us are at different ages. Some of us at different places in our lives. So just explain your loss. How did you experience it?
Sure. Thank you for having me on, by the way. Been looking forward to it for a while.
Glad you're here.
So I'll give you my story, the condensed version, and tell you why I think I'm the perfect person to have on your show to talk about being better, not bitter. So I met Michelle in high school, actually younger than that, probably like 14, but we started dating in high school. Dated for a year, and I fell madly in love. My type to a T, everything, physically, personality-wise, just perfect. But it didn't work out. So about a year into it, we broke up, and I was pretty devastated. But we went to different high schools, so it's not like we saw each other every day after we broke up. We stayed friends for a while, but it was too hard. The friendship was too hard. There was going to be nothing else. So we went our separate ways. And then 8 years later, we reunited, and I won't get into all the details, but it was like a romance novel type of story, like a fairy tale, not just the basic reunion, some crazy circumstances, but we reunited as adults 8 years after we broke up, and she had a 4-year-old daughter at that time. So we started dating. About a year we dated. We got engaged for a year. And then after that, so 2 years after we got together, 1 year after we got engaged, she got diagnosed with one of the most rare and aggressive cancers in the world. We got about 5 opinions in Illinois where we live, and then we traveled the country too, getting other opinions. The top specialist for her type of sarcoma, she had cancer that's called sarcoma, but there's 50 different types of sarcoma. The top sarcoma guy in the country said that only one person a year in the world gets what she had. One person a year in the world. So 1 in 7 billion. So here I am, this man who fell in love with this girl in high school, 8 years without her, reunited under some crazy circumstances. It wasn't easy. And then we just get engaged, and then bam, you have a 1 in 7 billion cancer. So she fought it for 2.5 years. We did everything. She had the hardest chemo we could go through. She had radiation that made her virally ill, surgery after surgery after surgery after surgery, clinical trials. I mean, it was awful. She was 5 foot, 105 pounds before she got sick. She died at like 55, 60 pounds. It was brutal. So the whole time that she was battling, I was very bitter. From the beginning, let me backtrack a little bit. She was actually diagnosed July 22nd, 2013, so just passed. July 31st was her first surgery. When they did that first surgery, they thought they got everything. But after that, they said, we got everything, but it's going to come back. Yeah, we're 99% sure it's going to come back. So knowing that, and all the treatment she went through and everything that happened, I was a very, very, very bitter person. I mean, it was literally eating up at me. To the point where it was destroying me. And I ruined a lot of our time together the last 2.5 years when she was sick because I was so bitter and angry. So that's one thing I regret. I don't regret a lot because we did everything to try to save her. I know that. There's nothing else to do, but I regret the bitterness that it gets the best of me. But in hospice, there were 23 days at hospice, And that's kind of when I found my better. I had kind of I'm religious, I'm more spiritual, I'm kind of a combination of both, but various things happened to me while she was in hospice for those 23 days, and I rid myself of the bitter that had been eating up at me for 2.5 years, and I was able to find a peace with the fact that basically, thank God we were brought back together, and we got to spend those last 5 years of her life together. That gave me a lot of peace because my sister actually asked me a question at hospice one day when I was at my low point, and she said, I was probably saying something along the lines of, I hate God, because for a while I did hate God. And I think she said to me, would you rather have never got back together and just found out years later that the love of your life died of cancer? And it kind of hit me at that moment how lucky we were just to have that time together that we did. So those was a couple other things happened, but during that process in hospice, I was able to find a better version of me, and then he passed away January 22nd, 2016, surrounded by a bunch of family and friends. And a month later, I started a blog, which is called Better Not Bitter Widower. And that's where I'm at today. I've turned it into, I'm an author now and a speaker, and I have a couple other things on the horizon. So that's my story in a nutshell.
Okay. You were putting out some numbers, and I'm this number person. They all have these significant meanings. I mean, first, it's wonderful how young love reunites is one thing. Yes. And it's phenomenal that your sister posed that question to you about would you have rather just not met back at all. But the thing is, a lot of times, God does things because he needed you to be there. He needed you to see that transition. He needed you to be there to support her and for her not to be alone during that time. But the first number that hit my mind was 8 years later. It was a new beginning for both of you all. God needed you all to do something. And people understand, if they understand that timing thing about God's timing, and we really pay attention to God's timing, we would understand a lot of things that go on. And just like you said about those 23 days, it was 23 days and it was 5 years. So it's that 5. God gave y'all grace. God gave you because like you said, it was a rare disease. It could have been something that, took her quickly. But it was a time you all were supposed to just really kind of marinate in the Thanksgiving of being together. That's kind of that grace. And I know, like you said, you spend a lot of time being bitter. And a lot of us do. We spend a lot of time being angry with God, thinking, okay, if we angry with God, he's going to change his mind about, the circumstances. But unfortunately, it really doesn't work like that. But I love the fact that you told us that transition in that 23 days that you reached a place of really understanding how you had to let that bitterness go. Now, there's a lot of men who are always listening in because I don't care what you all say, men carry more emotional baggage than women because the thing is, we let it go. We cry, we yell, we scream. We might have a lot of more emotions that we go through, but we get them out. And I know that because my husband holds all his wonderful stuff in now, but I force him. I be like, I know it's something wrong because I know you like a book. We know we can read y'all and we know y'all emotional journeys. And the thing is, what emotion triggered that where you knew you needed to transition from that place of bitterness to get better, even before she transitioned? What was that trigger that let you know that you needed to make a change?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's a couple of things. I think it was the anger and the bitterness were literally killing me. People say you could die from a broken heart. I don't know. You could die from bitterness. I would die from bitterness. I hated God and I hated everyone. Watching her deteriorate like that, it was just so bad. And I think that was a question my sister asked me in the other room. I was cursing out God, whatever I was saying, I don't know, but I don't remember what I was saying. That's the only thing I remember about that conversation. When she said that to me, it was a slap in the face, like, man, you're supposed to be here. You were supposed to take care of her. You were supposed to, if we never got back together, I would have never known her daughter. My stepdaughter, I raised her half the time. She's the love of my life. Like, what if we never got back together? She would have still died, but I wouldn't have been able to take care of her, and I've got to pat myself on the back. I took damn good care of my life, So, and then everything that I would have missed if I never got back with her. I mean, she was the love of my life. It was, even with cancer, it was 5 years that, I cherish. So I think it truly was just an appreciation, a real appreciation for the fact that we were blessed in some way. And that's one of the things I always talk about on my page and my blog and my books that are coming out is, bitterness is okay. It's a natural human emotion to be bitter, especially when something bad happens like that. Cancer or, a child passing, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff that happens in this world to good people. Bitterness is okay. You have to feel it and actually embrace it, because that's the only way to get through it is to feel it and then find some kind of appreciation or peace or accepting of it, and then try to work your way through it in time.
You got something to say there? Because I think you wanted to.
No,
Not yet. You were just marinating because you went through that emotion. I think what happens though, because we marinate too long in the bitterness, because we, like you have some regrets or you think you could have controlled it. And I mean, one thing is a lot of people didn't even get the 5 years, even though they were painful to her. Sometimes it happens at the snap after an argument in a relationship, your husband never comes back or your wife never comes back, and the last words weren't necessarily the best words. So a lot of times I think the bitterness is because we're angry with ourselves because we felt like it was something we could have done that would have changed the situation. And like you say, we really have to sit down and have a place of appreciation to understand whatever time we were given was a gift. And I know that's a hard thing, but if we can really go back and unwrap all the things that we received along, and I love you say you got a bonus daughter out of it. Because that's one relationship you would have never been blessed with if you had never, even went through this journey. A lot of times we really do have to sit down, and that's why the word says we have to push away that anger. We have to push away that malice. We have to push away that bitterness. Otherwise, it never allows us to unwrap that gift. And like you say, that bonus, that really blessed me when you said you would have never got to, that's a wonderful thing that you got a gift of being a parent. The gift of a love, and it's like a piece of her that you will be able to hold on to and see grow into even a better and beautiful her, so it's that image that you'll get to see, and you'll get the love from her youth, and probably when she get her teenage years, it'll probably trigger and you'll remember her all over again when you met her and you fell in love with her. You'll fall in love with your daughter that same way over again, and I mean in a healthy way. So anybody who listening, I'm not talking about nothing but the love of a parent, so y'all don't get crazy on here. I know we got a lot of craziness going on out in this world. So now from that transition, what made you start a blog?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So I've always liked to write, but I never really gave it much thought. Well, I was like 22. I think I wrote like 75% of a book, but then my computer crashed and I lost it. So, it was before I backed everything up. So I never really gave it much thought, but I was always a pretty good writer. When she was sick, though, I was sharing a lot of our experience on Facebook on my personal page. And some people didn't like it, but I felt like not only was I updating people, but I was also showing people this is what your life can be. So appreciate what you have now, type of thing. So after she passed, but actually while she was in hospice, again, I've always been a pretty good writer. I wrote my dad's eulogy when he passed with cancer in 2008. While she was in hospice, the last 8 days or so, she went into a coma state where she didn't really get up. So I had a lot of free time on my hands. So I wrote her eulogy, and I took my time, and I kept going back and perfecting it. And then I started writing a book about our full love story, which probably won't come out for about 5 or 6 years, but I wrote 27,000 words in a week. So when she passed, I couldn't go back to the book at that point. The eulogy was already written. Kind of needed an outlet. I was talking to a friend one day, and they're like, you should write a blog. Talked to a lot of people when we were sharing on Facebook. So when we were in hospice, somebody sent me a meme that says, you got to be better, not bitter. So it just hit me. I'm like, that should be the name of it, Better, Not Bitter, Widower. And when I started it, it was really to keep her memory alive. That was the basic purpose of it. Let's keep Michelle's memory alive, because when she was dying, that was one of the things she was very worried about. She said, I don't want people to forget about me. She had just turned 30 when she died. It's funny I said die, because I normally say pass, but today I'm saying die. So I started keeping her memory alive, and then I would, You know what the funny thing is you said a lot of guys don't like to show emotion on the office. I literally put it all out there. I do not care. I will tell it exactly like it is. I will tell you I was crying on the floor like a baby. When Michelle was the opposite, she kept it all in. So we used to say I was like the girl, she was the guy. But yeah, it turned into a whole different thing. It turned into just where people were like, you're sharing, but you're helping me. And it started with like 1,000 followers in the first couple months. Now we're almost at 11,000 in 17 months, and it's become this whole thing where I wake up in the mornings and I have messages from people I don't know saying like, your story actually like helped me, like sincerely helped me. Like I got out of bed yesterday because of you. And that's just the most rewarding thing imaginable, to take your pain that you thought was going to kill you, because I thought my pain was going to kill me. I did not think I would be here. Swear to God, I did not. And then to help people with that, it's very rewarding.
I like that, because you keep saying your pain could kill you. Pain can kill you. Pain can kill. And actually, it's statistically said that actually 45% of men, widowers, actually pass within a year of when they lose their spouse, because you all do keep those emotions in. So don't take it lightly. You probably did save a man's life, as they tell you, because you're able to express yourself. You say that womanly inside of you instinct, but because you're able to truly just let it out and express yourself, you're giving somebody else the ability to be real and transparent too. Because the thing is, a lot of times you just need to hear somebody else say it, to say, okay, this is a real emotion. It's okay if we talk about it. Because like you said, you just didn't care. But a lot of people, we've put on these masks, and we really, really care what other people think. We don't want people to see us cry. We don't want them to let us know where they're hurting. And then sometimes people feel like we're giving them too much overload, of information. Like you said, when you were originally posting, and people's like, oh, we don't really want to hear this. But it doesn't matter. This is my journey. This is how I'm feeling. This is the way I want to express it. And there is somebody out there that you're saving. And that's the thing. We are here to bring people on, to connect them with people, to help them along this journey. I'm not a man. I can't help you. I can't tell you how to cry as a man. And that's why we do this journey together. As I lost a man. He lost a wife. So we lost our spouses along this journey. But the thing is, we like to hear it from other people's perspective. And I like the fact that you took something that you already knew that you were good at and just made it something great for other people to actually empower them. That is wonderful. But the thing is that I love even more is you took that writing and now you're actually putting out a book. And I think you told me this year, right?
It's, say it again? I didn't hear the question.
I said, I think you told me the book was coming out this year.
So I actually have a journal out right now for people who are dealing with loss, and it has 22 writing prompts. So if anyone likes the journal, that might be something you can check out. But my actual book, which is a spin-off of my blog, if you like my blog, you'll love the book. That's coming out in November, on my wife's birthday, November the 11th. And it's called Widowed, and it's going to be in big letters, big black capital letters, Widowed. And then underneath it's called Rants, Raves, and Randoms, because it's not our full love story. It's a mixture of things. It's some popular blog entries I did, some news write-ups I did, people's stories. It's just a very eclectic book that I think people are going to like. And I think when you're grieving, you don't necessarily have the emotional energy to sit down and read a 200-page novel. I am writing one that is probably in about 5 or 6 years about our full love story. But this is more of a, kind of a coffee table book, and it's it'll make you cry, but it'll make you laugh too. It's a mixture of everything. So I think people will like it.
It is called The Widower, Rant, Rave, and Random. And you
Widowed.
say
Widowed.
Widow.
WIDOWED.
Oh, widowed. Okay, widowed. I in my mind, I'm always doing the ER or the without. Okay, widowed. Okay, rant, rave, and random. 11/11. Oh, I love numbers. Y'all know I love numbers. But 11/11/2017. I won't even get into what that means in my head. But I am going to. Are you pre-selling? You already got a link for people to go click link on?
Am I what? I'm sorry?
Pre-selling?
I don't know about that yet. If people want to kind of follow me online and, be notified of a pre-sale, they can go to either Facebook. I'm on Facebook. and I post daily on there, sometimes multiple times a day if I'm feeling it. And that you just look up Better Not Bitter Widower, or they can go to my actual blog where I post usually once or twice a month more in-depth stuff, and that is betternotbitterwidower.com. I know it's kind of a tongue twister, but
Okay, so it's 2 places that you can find John to stay updated, because he's not pre-selling yet, but I want you all to get notified, because men, y'all need a place to read where it is a male's perspective. And the book again is Widowed, WIDOWED, Rant, Rave, and Random. That's at 11/11/2017. It's going to be out. But join his Facebook page, which is Better Not Bitter, so you all can see his daily post on his grief journey. Widow.
Sorry, Better Not Bitter Widower. Yep, they got to add the widower
I got
part.
that written down too. Better Not Bitter Widower. See, now you got me singing the widower. Okay, widower. And then is add the .com if you want to go to the blog. And he said he posts in depth at least once to twice a month articles that will help you along the journey. The key to loss is to find help. I'm telling y'all, that's the key. Because if you think you're going to do a healthy, a long grief journey, you're going to find yourself in a place of depression. And you're going to find yourself caught out becoming fake because you have no way to voice all those different emotions and feelings that run through your head, run through your mind.
And the thing I caught, and I got a lot of respect for this gentleman, because when he start pouring out everything, when he started crying and just getting all his anger out, that's when he started waking up then, because that was a rehabilitation then. That's when he started feeling better than all that anger and bitterness that he had. Then he started putting it in the book. And that's because a lot of men don't do what he do. They just kind of hold it in and just destroy their whole internal life. But that's what I picked up with him, because when he just broke down and just humbled himself down and just spill everything out, that's when he woke up.
Yeah, you got to break in order to remake yourself. And I think a lot of people want it to go back to how it was. We want that magical thing to be just like it was. And there is no way that something that you're broken and it's going to be fixed back to the exact way it was, because there's a piece missing. It's a piece missing. So no matter what you do, how you put it back together, it's going to be a new structure no matter what. So the thing is, you have to be real with yourself and say, okay, I know I'm missing a big piece. So now, what am I going to make out of this? And the thing is, you've chose to make something positive out of it to help and empower other people. Even like you say, some of the days when you just talk ranting, like you say your book, ranting about your feelings to help somebody else dissect and go through these feelings. That is a most powerful thing when we are transparent about what we're going through, because a lot of people just don't understand that everybody goes through, and sometimes you go through multiple emotions at one time. It's not you get the choice to say, okay, I only want to feel happy right now. Unfortunately, sometimes in the happy moment, you crying during the happy moment. So it's a multitude of emotions that go through a person at various points. So I think it's wonderful that you're sharing your story. I am grateful that you came to share your story here with us on the air, because like I said, that's a brave thing, because a lot of people look at it as men, y'all supposed to just hold it in, stick it in the closet, and just deal with it. And that is the wrong thing. So I'm telling men, you need to talk about it. You don't have to talk about it with me. I mean, I'm fine with talking. I'm a great listener. I want to hear your story. I want to help you on that journey. Yes, I do. But the thing is, here is a man who has a wonderful blog, who goes in depth and talks about his journey, his transparency. Here is a man who posts on Facebook, and he has a group where you can join and be a part of and be in an environment with exclusive men. So be careful about joining some of these groups that are, trying to date and trying to match, because at this point in your life, you should be on a journey of healing.
Yes,
and the biggest thing that people do wrong on this widower's journey, they're trying to find replacements. Yes. And you're trying to take over somebody or have a fill-in so that you feel like that piece, you're whole again. And the thing is, you're treating the new person wrong because they're not that person. And then also you begin to actually feel a certain kind of way because they are not that person. So the loss even becomes greater. So be careful. Definitely join John on the Better Not Bitter Widowers, that's Facebook and .com blog, because I want everybody to get to a place where they are living their best life. And it was something that you said in the beginning when you said you were spiritual religious. I mean, I don't like when people say they're religious because that means you just really all into the book, but you have no live. I like the fact that you said you're also spiritual. It's that connection. Go ahead.
The funny thing is, to be honest with you, I'm only spiritual. But I didn't know. I didn't want to like offend anybody who watches your show. I have a very personal relationship with God. So I view myself as spiritual. I read the Bible, but I don't classify myself as religious. I view myself as spiritual.
Okay, let me. You can't offend me because you can't change my walk with God ever. Okay, and the reason, if people on the line are judging you, the difference, because the thing is, all that God needs to know is you a Christian, and He used the event to use you as a Christian as a vessel. Because the thing is, we know you a Christian because you're doing what you're supposed to do with the tragedy that happened in your life. So if anybody's offended by the fact that you're doing the right thing on your walk, well. They don't need to come back to this station in this airwave anyway, because it's about real people, not people who talking about they trying to beat people over the Bible with anything. Because a real Christian is about living their life and your example of living. So I think when you say you're spiritual, all you're saying is I've accepted God, I believe in God, I'm a Christian, and I'm allowing God to lead my life, and that is what we're supposed to do, not be fanatics. And I think that's a lot of times where we get caught up in that we have to live our life looking like somebody else in order to be on the Christian walk. And it definitely, when we get on this grief journey, a lot of people tell us, oh, well, this is how you're supposed to act. You need to cry this long. You need to wear this. You don't need to date. You need to do this. And the thing is, there is no particular set rule on this journey. And I think that's what people have gotten. They lose themselves because people have put them in a box. There's not a grief box that you can say, okay, I'm going to ship you a grief box, and there are 8 little steps that you can follow, and grief will be magically over. You know, it's not like a Band-Aid. It's not like a first aid kit that I can sing you, because everybody has a different level of emotions that they're going through. First of all, we all didn't lose our spouse the same way, so we have different things. Then we have different baggage from our relationships, from the length and time that we were in a relationship. That makes a difference. Because a lot of people don't realize just because you lost your spouse, there may have been some things that were bad about the relationship, and everybody wants you to focus on just the good stuff. Everybody wants you to remember like you were in a fairy tale relationship, and that is not good either. The healthiness is being a reality about every aspect of the relationship so that you can actually put it into place. And that's why I say there is an individual plan for everybody that is there and that exists. And that's one of the great things, because in your blog, you're basically talking about you're better. You know, you're better, and trying to help other people find it so they don't get caught in a place of being in a box. Because I think what you're talking about, like in that religious world, a lot of times there is not that place. What I've noticed in a lot of churches, they don't have a widower's ministry, a widower's program, a widower's place for people to go cry. And I mean, I know that was something that was missing when I lost my husband. You know, you were either married or you were either single. So now what ministry do I join now? Because I'm not single, because I'm not trying to get back out there and date and all that stuff right now. I'm not married because I don't want to be the third wheel going out with a bunch of other couples, you know. So what do I do? You know, and the thing is, so all your married friends call you who still got their spouse, you know. So that sounds great, you know. Stop crying, get over it. Or all your single girlfriends call you and say, hey, well, let's go out. You know, so it's like, okay, where is that group of people, and that group of people who are just getting together because they want to match make? You know, that's, you know, I've seen these widower dating sites. So be careful of the organization that you get in. Is it trying to hook you up? or is it trying to help you up? You know, so that's the key. And I want you to I know you're connected to some other organizations, some other widowers organizations and associations, which I think are absolutely marvelous as well, because I think we'll have some of those resources on in August, because we're going to be talking about some of those powerful networks that are out there really in the community helping people. So all of that to say is you got there because what I did hear about your story is when your sister asked you, would you have preferred not to have been there at all? And the thing is, a lot of times we need help from other people to sometimes whisper in our ear that we do need a little help, and definitely we need God's help along this journey, because like you say, you still pick up the word and you are still using the tools that God gave you to speak into other people's lives about your journey. So anything you want to tell the men or the women on the line who have went through a loss, what is the one thing that you would tell them to start doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, my page is followed by men and women. Obviously, the women are more vocal, but I have some men that are vocal. But I would say, you know, if you've endured the loss of a spouse, that's what we're focusing on today. The one takeaway message that I could give someone, that I wish someone who I trust, I wish I had this message when she was sick, was you will feel at some point, it could be a day, it could be a year, at some point you will feel like you are going to die. You will literally feel like you are going to die, and you might even want to die, but you can get through it. If I could get through it, as low as I was, and oh my God, I was low, you can get through it. I always say survive first, focus on your survival, and then once you realize that you're going to survive it, then you can start looking for, you know, happiness, because happiness can come too. Don't just try to survive the rest of your years. You got to try to be happy at some point, but survive first, and then move towards happiness. That's my message.
I love that. Survive, and what I call it is recognize that, be grateful that you're alive. And then once you realize the gratefulness of being alive, then you have to make a choice to live your life. And I mean, live it, because I mean, a lot of us walk around in these routines and things just so people can see we're doing something daily. But like you say, we don't find that true happiness. We can't find that true peace. And that's the thing that we really want for everybody, is to really find that place. So you all join John Polo. That is Better Not Bitter, widower.com for the blog, and take off the .com and jump over to his Facebook page so you all will get the information about this wonderful book, and it's called Widowed, and that's an ED. It's rave, rant, and random, so all of the things that go along to get him to that place along this grief journey, and join him there. And of course, on our wonderful broadcast, like I always say, this is near and dear to my heart, because as have losing a spouse myself, and then my husband, he lost his wife of 32 years. So then we both have the experience of longevity of being married and losing a spouse. One thing that we talk about, and we continue to voice it, we actually have something called the Weekend's Widower's Voice. So we complement that with a blog. We do video, which is the Weekend Widower's Voice. Y'all can tell I like video. I'm not a little camera shy, so. But the Weekend Widower's Word, it's every Saturday, and it's a strategy. That's what we give, John, kind of a little strategy to help people through the week. So kind of compliment what John does. And then, of course, you all can join us on our weekly Instagram, where we're talking about what to do after death does us part on Instagram. And I want to thank John for being very brave. And I hope this helps a lot of men who are going through this grief journey to know that you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to fit into this male-dominant box. Because, as he said, it is going to be some point that you feel like your heart is being ripped out of you and you actually feel like you're dying. So when it happens, and it may happen more than one time, when it happens, the key to what John said is work on surviving. I want you to survive. I don't want you to be a statistic. I don't want you to be that percentage of people who die within that year later because you haven't latched on to somebody to help you with those tools and skills of survival. But then, as he says, after you get to a point of survival, get to the point where you're living in happiness.
Yes.
I want everybody to find that place of happiness. And the key is tonight, you don't have to do it by yourself. And the song, when I heard this song, it really resonated with my heart. It was Dion Kipping, and it was By Myself. By myself. The thing is, a lot of times we think we're by ourselves. We don't reach out to God. We don't get our help. So I want you all to get the help that you all need. I want you all to have a blessed time. I want you all to connect with John at Better Not Bitter Widower, WIDOER widower.com, to read his blog in depth and join his Facebook page, and definitely join us here every week at the Master Relationship Mechanics Show, where we're talking about how to have your best relationship with God,
Yes.
self, and others. And definitely join us here on our special Tuesday talking about the nearest voice, the widower's voice, and that's an ERS, because I'm talking about the women and the men. I don't want to leave anybody out, to give you all the tools to survive on this
Yes.
grief journey. So John, thank you for being here with us, and hopefully
Thank
we'll
you.
stay connected and we can do some other things together at the Relationship Service Station with you. And we are going to jump into the song By Myself, and I will see you all next week here on the air.
All right.